All right, so now that you've had a chance to look around in your garden or yard and find some bugs, it's time to talk about how we organize these living things into different categories. So part of our job as scientists is to learn about the world around us. And a great way that scientists learn is by putting things into different groups or categories. So there are scientists who have studied bugs and living things, and they have decided on these categories based on what they observed. So scientists study bugs and insects and living things, and they observed different things. So we're gonna look at a really big chart right now, and it's actually called a flow chart because based on a question, you would flow following the arrows, and I'll explain that in a minute. This chart is very big because it covers every living thing in the world, except for plants. So it's really big. We're only gonna be studying one part of this chart, so let me walk you through the whole thing, and then if none of that made sense, just pay attention to the part I say, this is what we're studying, okay? So without further ado, the chart of living things. So everything in the world can be divided up into these two sections. So the first thing that you're gonna do as a scientist is ask, does this thing have a backbone? Okay, so that's your spine, that's the bone in your back. So if it does not have a backbone, it goes over here. If it does have a backbone, it goes over here. This is not what we're studying this year, so I'm gonna go through this really quickly and then we're gonna move on. Okay, so does it have a backbone? The next question you're gonna ask, is it warm-blooded or cold-blooded? So that's exactly what it sounds like. Is the blood kept warm in their body, or do they need heat from outside to stay warm? Okay, so warm-blooded things go over here. Cold-blooded things go over here. And now we're gonna break off one last time. Warm-blooded things can either be a mammal or a bird. Okay, so mammals are bears, whales, humans, lots of things are mammals. Mammals are born alive. So they don't come out in an egg, they come out alive when they're born. So those are mammals, and we're mammals, so that's where we are. And then the other warm-blooded things are birds. So birds have eggs, and that's how their young ones are born. So if it's warm-blooded and comes from an egg, it's a bird, like an eagle, or a seagull, or a parrot, all the types of birds right there. Okay, so those are the warm-blooded things, but what if it's cold-blooded? Well, we have two different options here. Fish or a reptile. So a fish would be like a salmon and a goldfish, and a reptile would be like a turtle and a crocodile. And there is one more category called amphibians, but I didn't include it on here. So those are all the things that have a backbone. And like I said, we're not studying that this unit, so you can forget all about that now. What we're gonna be studying is things that do not have a backbone, okay? So we've looked carefully at the things we've collected, and I'm gonna tell you right now, if it's a bug or an insect, it does not have a backbone. And that's just really smart scientists studied this for a long time, and they found that out for us, so that's pretty cool. Now, it's time for you to look carefully and discover, does this thing have legs or no legs? Okay, so if it has legs, it can be broken into three different categories: crustaceans, arachnids, or insects. And we're gonna come back right to that. And if it doesn't have legs, is it worm-like or is it not worm-like? So this part of the chart right here is what our whole science unit is on. So this is the only part of the chart that you need to worry about. We're gonna be talking about no backbone things with legs and one thing that has no legs. So, crustaceans. Crustaceans mostly live in the ocean. So that'd be things like lobsters, crabs, shrimp, lots of different things. The one crustacean that has taken over on land is actually very popular, and I guarantee you'll find some outside. And it is called a sow bug or a pill bug or wood lice, lots of different names for it. Okay, so that is really, really weird crustacean that lives on land, and it looks very prehistoric, or it looks like something from the dinosaur days when you find it. So I'll show you a picture later, and you can look for them. The other category is arachnids, and that is spiders. So there are lots of different kinds of spiders, and they would all fall into this category. And then the last category is insects. And one rule about insects is that they have 6 legs. So you'll notice spiders do not have 6 legs, so they're not in the same category. Insects have 6 legs. That would be things like ladybugs and ants and butterflies. Those are all insects. The one other thing that you will probably find outside that does not belong to this category is earthworms. So earthworms come up, you see them on the sidewalk when it's been raining a lot, and you can see they don't have any legs, and so they're in this category over here. So that's how we break down the different things that we're going to be finding during this unit. And it's important to know that we can put things into categories by observing them. So part of your job is going to be to tell me which category do these bugs that you found fall into. Now, one resource that I want to share with you guys is this Garden Bugs of Alberta book. So we are going to be looking in Alberta, which means all the bugs we find are going to be in this book. So you can, of course, use Google to search for bugs and try and find the name of them. But if you're having a really hard time, you can send me a picture of your bug and we can try and find it together. So the way this book works is that there's a picture. So you would try to match what you saw with a picture. So I want to show you sow bugs because they're so interesting looking. So they look like this. And so I can see that it's going to talk about that on page 203. So now I can turn to page 203 and it tells me a little bit about it. So it tells me a bit about the life of it. And then it also tells me that it is part of the crustacean family. And then it gives you some information about how to control it if it's taking over in your garden, where it likes to live, how to tell what it looks like, and different things like that. So this book has so many different kinds of bugs listed, and lots of them are from, these are all from Alberta. So we might see on the internet or movies or different things, bugs that we don't have here. And so that's why this book is so great. So I want you guys to keep that I have this in mind. In the regular classroom, it would be your job to look for it in this book, and that's a really good skill to be able to use this book. But since you are online and you can't actually be in the classroom with this book, I'll send you the pages that you need, okay? So yeah, to sum up what we just talked about, different bugs or insects or small crawling living things can be broken up into different categories. And those categories are important for when we refer to them. So I would not call a spider an insect because it's not an insect. And it's also important in knowing what kinds of foods they might like to eat, what kinds of homes they might live in, and just being able to learn about them in general. All right, this is such an exciting unit. I'm so excited for you guys to be working on this with me, and I can't wait until next week's video. Bye.